I'm going to go ahead and open. Adam's here, but he's got it muted right now, but we'll get the preliminary stuff out of the way.
I was just sitting back down.
Okay. If you all need my number, I put it in the chat area, number and email address if you need that. Adam, you might put your number and email stuff in the chat area. And that way, if they want to talk to you later on, they can. And nobody has told me that we would have a 1-minute deal, so we'll skip that this month. The quote for the month is by Dave Ramsey. And he always used to say, when opportunity comes a knocking, it always shows up wearing work clothes. And I like that. The book of the month, we don't have a book of the month this month. There was a YouTube that Adam had done. It was with 3 people. There was a Levi, and I believe he was from Miami. And there was a Brandon and a Ron. And the reason that I have that as the book of the month is because those 2 were oil field people, and they got out of the oil field and started doing wholesale deals. So anybody that's interested in seeing that video, text me at my phone number, and I'll send you the link to it. I thought it was real interesting and motivating. And then everything you hear tonight is only for your enjoyment. Nothing's professional or legal or accounting. If you hear something you like, then check it out with your professional and go from there. Adam and Brent, they have a wholesale company in Mississippi, right? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
And I listen to them because I love the way they put deals together. I love hearing them talk to the seller, and they treat sellers right. They just try to figure out what's wrong, and then they try to solve that problem. Whether they can make a deal out of it or not, doesn't matter. They're just there to fix the problem. And I think if y'all go in with that kind of attitude to stuff, you'll make a lot of deals happen. There's Jack Napier and Jimmy Napier, or Jack Miller, Jimmy Napier, and David Tilley. I call them all the Florida boys. I'm from Florida, but I never knew them when I was in Florida. And most of them are dead now, but there's still a couple around. And I first found Adam through his dad, Leon Johnson. I heard him talk on somebody's podcast one time, so I looked him up on the internet, and through going through him and stuff, I got over to Adam, and I was glad that Adam does that same kind of deal making. So I'm going to leave it up to Adam and let Adam talk to y'all. And if y'all got questions, just speak right up. He's very knowledgeable. He's very good at wholesale. So if y'all are interested, there he is. Go ahead, Adam.
Hey, thank you, Lee. Thanks for letting me jump on too. This is a lot of fun. I love meeting new folks, and hopefully we can get some of your guys' questions answered. Real quick, with a thumbs up, thumbs down, how many of y'all were able to watch the Q&A that he's talking about with Levi and Brandon and Ron? Did anybody get a chance to watch that? Okay. I do have to echo what he said. Obviously, I'm a little biased. But if you really want to know how to go about this the right way and have the right expectations, that was probably one of the proudest Q&As I've ever done. Definitely in the top 3 for sure. But I would say probably one of my proudest ones that we've ever done. And then what to expect along the way, which I think
you blanked out for about 30 seconds.
Oh, sorry. That may happen a little bit. We don't have the best internet in Mississippi, so. But one thing is I was just going to say, if you would watch that, it gives you a really good understanding of what it is you're trying to really accomplish, and then what to expect along the way, which is not talked about at great length, I don't think, not as much as it should be. So, and what Lee was telling me is that you guys want to kind of learn a little bit more about specifically wholesaling, right? Is that right? Okay. All right, so here's what I want to do, and because we do all kinds of stuff, right? Like my niche, if you will, is in the living room. Like, let's put all of the pieces of this puzzle out on the table and see what kind of picture we can make from it. So that ends up being a wholesale deal for us about 60-ish% of the time. 30% is usually flips, and about 10% get kept back for long-term rentals, or something creative, a dispo on a lease option or whatever. But I do have something. I want to give away a book to somebody. I'm not going to show you what the book is yet, but actually, I don't even think I have a copy here. They're at my office. But I have a question, and first person to get it right or close enough right is going to get the book. So if you would just put it in the chat. If you had to take a guess at the number one thing that gets me more deals than any other single thing, right? It could be, your guess can be a tool, a software, a trait, a technique, whatever, right? So just throw in all of your guesses. Whoever gets it right or closest, I'm going to send you a book, and we'll make sure we swap information later on. All right, we'll come back to that. So let's just dive into wholesaling. First thing I do have to do is echo Lee's disclaimer. I'm not an attorney. I'm not an accountant. I'm not attempting to give any kind of legal or financial advice. We save that for the professionals. Everything I'm telling you is in my opinion, right? So that being said, how many of you and let's just throw it in the chat box, on a scale from 1 to 5, how many of you feel that you understand what wholesaling is? 5 being, hey, I've got a really good grasp of it, or I've done a few wholesale deals. 1 being, hey, I'm kind of new to this. Okay. So here's the best way. So just remember, let's start off with this. This business can be as simple, right? And when I say this business, we're talking about wholesaling specifically. So this business can be as simple as you let it be, or as complicated as you make it. And I will tell you right off the bat, most people go wrong just because they think of a house as something with more moving parts than any other transaction that takes place out there every single day, right? So if you really think about it, a lot of what wholesaling is simply, hey, I'm getting the right to buy a property at a good price that somebody will pay me more for, and then selling that right to buy to whoever it is that's going to bring in the money and close the deal in the whole 9 yards. Right? It really is that simple. It doesn't matter that it's a house or anything else. It's that simple. And you don't have to worry about money most of the time. Now this can vary a little bit state to state, like Illinois, obviously there's some interesting stuff going on, but I think most of you guys are in Texas, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So for the time being, you guys are pretty wide open. But that's essentially all it is you go in and you obtain the right to buy a property, and then you're selling that right to buy. Right? Now, does it take any money to get a right to buy something? And right, some people say no, some people say yes. The real answer is yes. It's really whatever earnest money you put on your contract. That's how much money it really takes to obtain a right to buy something. So let's just dive into it. That's how simple it is. We're going to go through all the steps, but there's a few just foundational things that we I would be remiss if I didn't go over. And this circles us back to that question I asked everybody earlier. So first and foremost, right, how many of you started the job or the position or the business that you're in knowing everything about it? Right? Not me either. I didn't either. But nobody did, right? Wholesaling is the same way. And when you start off, and that's why I love wholesaling as an entry point into real estate, and then just as a disposition method for what you don't want. It's got a very low barrier of entry with very little risk attached to that low barrier, right? Which is just, it's an incredible place to be. And especially in Texas, where you can do these deals and make $10, $20, $30,000 on a $10 earnest money check. Okay. But number one, the most important thing right out of the gate is, just like in the beginning, when you started wherever you're at now, you were just honest with yourself and you were honest with everybody around you, right? Hey, I'm kind of new to this, but that's okay. I'm going to get done what I know how to get done, and I'm going to do a good job at it for everybody around me, right? Like, you got to go in with that attitude. Just be okay with the fact that you're not going to know it all right out of the gate. I've been doing this, well, really all my life, but officially for over 18 years. And there's still stuff every single week I come across where I'm like, wow, I've never seen that before. And that's totally okay. The other one, make sure you do good business with people, right? I always tell everybody, if you wonder whether or not you should do something or whether or not it's okay to do something, give it the granny test, right? Would you do that to your own grandmother, right? Or if somebody else did business with your grandmother that way, would you be okay about it? Or would you be just raising some kind of cane? Right. So that's the granny test. And that's a very, very easy way, because this can be a complicated business, and you can get caught up in some roads and be down in a really interesting place before you know it. And you always want to be able to step back and say, all right, if I'm doing this deal with my grandma, am I happy about it? Like, do I feel good about myself and how I've gone and conducted business? So that's a really good one. You know, people talk about ethics and morals and everything like that. Those vary from person to person, but that granny test really typically gets down to the bottom of it, because even a bad person usually loves their grandma. So, and just remember, number two, this is just something for everybody's benefit that is getting started. Greed kills more wholesalers than any other single thing I've ever seen. And that's coming from the guy who will also tell you, don't shortchange yourself bringing a wholesale deal into somebody. That's where it all starts, right? As a wholesaler, you essentially are getting good at sourcing good deals, like good, solid deals. And that's where everything starts. That's where the whole wheel starts to turn. That's where the contractors gets paid. That's where the flipper gets paid. That's where the insurance guy gets paid. The title company gets paid. All the people get paid. And hopefully there's a happy seller at the end of it, right? So that's a very, very valuable place to be. But greed will absolutely kill every deal before you ever even get started. So make sure you're pricing things just really more on the conservative basis than the hopeful basis, and don't let greed kill your deals. All right, you guys ready to dive into kind of the technical steps? I say technical steps. It's going to be pretty simple, but there's really two things that you need to do when you're trying to go source these deals. You need to find good people to talk to and go have a good talk with those people, right? Like, always remember that. And I say that, and there's a story that goes along with that. So one of like early on students, and this is one of the things that we're going to talk about in a little bit, but just driving for dollars. Everybody's heard about driving for dollars, right? You ride around, you look for a house that just looks lonely. Somebody forgot about it, right? It's the house that everybody drives past on their way home and says, I wish somebody would do something with that thing, right? Like, that's the ones we're looking for. So they went driving for dollars and they said, hey, we want to buy more rentals. We can't find them on the MLS like we used to. And we've never bought them anywhere else. We need to go get these deals. We said, all right, go driving for dollars, go find these houses, get X number of addresses. I think we told them to go get 150 and then come back. Well, they called us a few days later and they said, hey, this is really taking a long time. We went 4 hours and we got 9 houses. And I said, well, I said, are you walking? Like, is there more to the story? And they said, no, we're driving around. And I said, okay, tell me what happens when you find a house. And they said, okay, well, we park and we get out and we make our notes and we take some pictures, and they spend 20, 30 minutes at these houses when really we don't even know if A, we can reach the right person, and B, if when we do, they're even interested in talking to us, much less interested in selling. Right. So like we've got all these things going on that can easily distract us. So just remember, in the beginning, it's all about two things. You need to find people to talk to and go talk to those people. That's it. Like that's really it. And then you start working on your actual deals. So first things first, who do you talk to, right? Who's my prospects? I really like a kind of an open format. Can we go ahead and just interact a little bit with everybody? Is that okay with you, Lee?
Yeah.
For those of you that are actively doing deals, what are some of your, like, what's your prospecting? Or for those of you that are starting and working on it, where are you prospecting at? Where are your people coming from?
I do the door to door. I like just going around the neighborhoods. I got that from Jack Miller. He said, concentrate on whatever neighborhoods you want to concentrate on, and then just I've got suspenders that I wear. So every time they see the guy, that's that guy that does the real estate stuff. So, it's real pronounced because nobody has rainbow suspenders but me. And I walk around with them all the time. So, it kind of my brand.
I love it. And door knocking is still my favorite thing. I just don't have as much time to do it as I used to, but I love to door knock.
What about some of the other guys here?
I've been sending out the postcards, the bandit signs, chasing the foreclosures, looking on Facebook, just everywhere. I haven't done the door knocking yet. I'm actually going to arrange a door knocking campaign in the next couple of weeks with some friends of mine. So we're going to go from there.
No, who are you mailing postcards to?
I just did a mass mail out to just a shotgun blast out to one area zip code in Odessa.
Any particular criteria for them?
No, not on that one. I'm just starting out, so I just grabbed all the addresses I could out of that zip code and just shotgun blasted it out. And from that, I've got 3 appointments this week.
That's awesome. All right. And how many bandit signs are you putting out?
Right now, I have roughly 20 in my hometown, which has a population of 7,500 people. The next town over that's a little bit larger, we've got about 30 out there. And then I've got about between 40 and 50 in Odessa right now, but I still have a shelf full of about another 150 I can get out there. I just started putting those out a couple of weeks ago, and I did get 1 appointment here in town from that.
Oh, that's awesome. All right, who else? Anybody else doing any marketing, any prospecting, door knocking, talking to people at the gas pump across from them?
I'm not right now, but I'm trying to do it. I mean, right now I'm just buying from wholesalers, so trying to kind of cut the middleman out a little bit. That's what I'm really trying to do.
Trying to increase your spread a little bit. Absolutely. Now, how many do you flip, or do you buy and hold, or both?
I do a lot of burr method homes, so that's what I'm looking at. That's the goal. Right now, I'm in my first one, so I just started doing this January.
Oh, that's awesome.
Okay, if I may come in, I talk to wholesalers, talk to a bunch of real estate agents to see if they have any product listing. I also plan to try door knocking and see how that goes. Whenever I walk in the neighborhood and I see people walking, I kind of see, oh, is this person approachable? If they are, I try to go talk to them. It's just that you really don't see people walking that often, except when they are really going on a jog or on a run. And you really don't want to stop them. But door knocking is something I also plan to do.
So I do have to tell you, I stop everybody. I stopped 3 people today while we were out and about going to different appointments that were either walking or in their front yard. Those are the people that if there's an eyesore in the neighborhood, they don't want it there. Like they don't want an empty house where the bad teenage kids go to play. So when you see those people like walking around the neighborhood, just say, hey, do you have a house that you run past that when you get near it, you're on the other side of the street every time? Or is there one that's so like, it's so grown up and scary, like you started taking a different route and you say, I wish somebody do something with that thing. I might be that somebody. A lot of times
Great.
the folks in the neighborhood will help you just for their own selfish reasons of get that eyesore out of my neighborhood. Like they're fantastic because it's all it's going to do is bring their property values and everything back up where they want it. You know, and especially if it's like a nicer neighborhood, or like when you start getting above median, you know, folks don't want an eyesore in their neighborhood. And those folks that are out walking and running, they're beating the streets for you every single day. Let's see, anybody else? All right. So let me ask you, everybody, real quick, thumbs up, thumbs down. How many of you guys feel like you are incredibly overwhelmed at the amount of options out there for prospecting? Thumbs up if you're overwhelmed, thumbs down if you're not overwhelmed. Just at the amount of options out there to just online, PPC. Really, you got like, you do feel overwhelmed or you don't?
No, I don't.
That's actually good. A lot of people feel very overwhelmed, right? Like Marie, and I asked that question from what you were telling me earlier. You were like, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this. And the truth of it is that when you get out there, it always feels like there's something else that you could be doing. And there's 10 people telling you the grass is greener on that side. Right? Like it all the time. And it's pretty, this is actually the best group that I've talked to. Most everybody's like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do. Right. And that's a lot of how I felt. Because I mean, I didn't even have internet at my house till 2017. I mean, you can go through now. I'm stepping up on the technology side. I got a MacBook and all kinds of stuff. But at the end of the day, a lot of what evolved my business into what it is the fact that I just didn't even know where to start with any of that stuff. And I had to keep it really simple. So let's talk about prospecting and marketing, but at the same time. Okay. So your prospects are anybody that has at least one key indicator that there is a sign that they might be motivated. Okay. So if you drive past their house and it looks empty, that means this should be a problem for somebody, right? There's an indicator. If they're delinquent on their taxes, if they're, you know, the Liz pendants just got filed because they're going to get foreclosed on soon, that's an indicator, right? Anything like that, they're getting divorced, they just evicted a tenant, they live out of state, right? There's a gazillion things that are indicators. And really what you're looking for, right? Number one from earlier, you're finding people to talk to. You want the people that are really checking those indicator boxes. And if you can find them where they're checking more than one, even better, right? Like the vacant house that's behind on taxes and the people got divorced and I mean, just stack, and then somebody went to jail, right? That's always a good one. All of those are just little key indicators. So that's really what you're looking for when you prospect. And just as a perfect example of how like easy this can be. So had one of my buddies from Memphis that finally got him moved down here locally into Hattiesburg, Mississippi. And he's been helping me run since about the first week of December. And so we've been friends for 20 something years. We're pretty much like brothers. We push each other, but like we have a lot of fun with it. And the first week he was down here, we got 160 some odd driving for dollars leads while we were running appointments, right? So driving for dollars is something everybody should always be doing all the time. I mean, to the point where when you go to sleep at night, you see flashes of houses with the grass growing up really high. All right, so Marie's got it. But that's really like everybody needs to be doing it all the time. So we had 160 some odd leads. And then there's a few that we put stars by and we called them first. In the first 10 that we called that had stars by them, we get a hold of one. It's an inherited property. The probate has been going on for about a year. It's about to close out, and they want to give the daughter that's inherited the house doesn't want any proceeds. She wants it to go into a fund for her daughter for college. So we helped set all that up, navigate it, and then called a realtor friend of ours in the area and said, hey, you know anybody that wants a fixer-upper, take them by this address. Here's what we need for it. And so I think we just closed 2. I got quarantined a few weeks ago, so my weeks are all blended together. I want to say it was 2 to 3 weeks ago, we closed that one out. It was a $13,000 deal. And all we did was we showed up, we bought the property for $12,500 and we sold it an hour later for $27,000. And then we paid we paid our realtor and stuff like that. But that was how easy that was. And that was how smooth it was, just from, hey, here's an empty house. It must be a problem for somebody. We called them. We figured out what their problem was. We solved their problem in a way that made them happy. And then we provided that opportunity to another guy at a slightly higher price, right? Like that's how easy that went. So prospects, you're looking for people that check some kind of indicator box. Now let's talk about how to market to them. Now this is where, Marie, this is for you, right? And I mean, for everybody, but with everything you were saying, where you just feel like you're being pulled in 100 different directions, and now you've got really so many different numbers you should be having coming in, right? One to track your mail, one to track your bandit signs, and then somebody just kind of sort through all of this stuff that's coming in, and then a lot of it goes into different systems. So if you don't have a CRM, then even if you're having to plug it in yourself, and it gets crazy. One passive form of marketing and one active form of marketing. That's it. And be really, really, really good. And by really good, I mean get better than everybody else at those 2 things. Your life will become so much simpler, and you'll make more money by doing less when it comes to marketing. Right, 100%. I cannot stress that enough, especially in the beginning, because all these tools and softwares and marketing ideas can really, they can hit your budget hard if you're not real careful. And sometimes if you don't get a deal pretty quick, it doesn't have to be anything fancy, and it doesn't have to be a ton of stuff. I can pretty much run my whole business was 2 things until 2017, when I finally got the internet at my house. I did 2 things. I hit absentee owners, and I hit tax delinquent people with direct mail, and I went driving for dollars.
I think he froze for a little bit.
Am I back?
Yeah, you did absentee mailings and you did driving for dollars, the two things that you did.
Yeah. So absentee out-of-state owners, I did tax delinquents and I mailed to them. And then not that this is the magic formula. I'm just telling you how simple to keep it. And then I went driving for dollars. And in full disclosure, I was chasing pre-foreclosures. That's where I was going driving for dollars, right? So like I would go knock on a pre-foreclosure door and collect as many drive for dollars leads as I could along the way. And let me tell you, 43 deals in 2017 with no internet, right? And it was just from those simple things. Marketing budget, we spent about 20 grand and that included my gas money, right? And we did a lot of deals. So keep it really simple. So let's go in and some of those can combine with each other. So let's say that your two forms of marketing might be driving for dollars and putting out bandit signs, right? So you go driving for dollars and then you want to actively call and text those people and you want to actively mail to the ones that you can't get on the phone. And that's your active form of marketing to
That was the active form of marketing too, and you stopped at that.
I'm sorry, guys. If it gets too bad, I can get on my phone. But so active form of marketing is you go get, let's just say 25 driving for dollars leads a week. And then you pull them up on fastpeoplesearch.com and you call them and you text them and you call their relatives and you text their relatives. And look, when people pick up, don't throw up on them, right? You want to come out of the gate, be different. Be different. The number one negotiating tool you can have is being different in a positive way, right? So everybody else seems like they want to be really, really like, hey, I'm super professional. I'm the expert. And I go complete opposite. I shuffle papers around. Hey, gosh, I'm sorry. Is this, this is Adam, by the way. Sorry, this is going to seem really out of the blue. Is this, oh, let's see. Lee, I'm trying to get in touch with Lee. I may not even have the right number. And if I don't, I'm so sorry. I'm trying to find out some information on a house on 123 Main Street. My name's Adam. I probably should have said this. I'm looking for some property to buy in the area. And I saw this one and it caught my eye. I like this area. And according to the county records, it's somebody named Lee that owns it. Do I even have the right number? Right? Do I sound like a salesman at all? If I called you, would you feel like I'm a telemarketer and you should hang up on me? Or am I going to sound, I almost want to sound so bad that you like when somebody picks up the phone, they go, somebody needs to help this poor fellow. Right? Which is total Jimmy Napier. I mean, Jimmy was a master at it. But that's really like I'm not trying to impress anybody. I'm just trying to have a first conversation. I'm not trying to buy a house. I'm just trying to get them to listen and talk to me long enough to even see if they're interested in talking to me any further. But to get a good objective response and not, oh, he sounds like a telemarketer. Right. So that's right out of the gate. Text messages. Oh man, I have all kinds of fun. If they don't answer the phone, I don't do voicemails. I send text messages. I say stuff like, hey, I may have some money for you. Hey, is this Tom? Hey, Tom, this is Adam. Hey, is this thing on? Are these text messages coming through? I can't ever tell if this thing's working or not. And let me tell you what, people respond to you, right? They're going to respond to you. They're going to ask you, hey, who are you? What do you need? And I know that because a friend of mine that taught me how to do this rapid fire text did it to me. And I was on a Zoom call and they were popping up on my phone so fast that I finally just started texting back. And I don't ever do that if I don't know the number. And he got me on it. So I know it works really, really well. But the whole point is just, we need a response. We're just trying to find, do we even have the right person? And is there any interest in talking about this any further? That's really it. It's that simple. Then you're passive. So as you're getting 25 driving for dollars leads every week and you're hammering them on the phones and then mailing whoever you don't get, put out 25 bandit signs. That's your passive marketing. But now you've got two forms of marketing. They go hand in hand and you can do them over and over and over every week, which is a really important factor. A lot of people will mail, hey, we sent out 5,000 mailers last week, but we may not ever mail again. Doesn't work real well. You got to mail out 500 this week, 500 next week, 500 the next week, 500 the next week, 500 the next week. And if you can't do it for 90 days, don't do it. Right? So even the small numbers consistently will blow the just one big intense number out of the water every single time, right? I will take 25 driving for dollars leads a week with 25 bandit signs out over 5,000 mailers this month, right? It just boom, done. I'll take my just consistent every week. Very, very important. And then you have to repeat it week after week after week. Give your efforts time to compound and multiply a little bit so that they'll come back to you. And that just takes time, right? We tell everybody 90 days is what kind of to expect there. Now, I want to go back to, let's jump back to this question real quick. Oh, we got some close ones in there. I'll let you pick who was closest, Lee. Well, I say let you pick. This is your group. It's your Zoom call. You can do whatever you want to. But if you don't mind picking, so the one thing that gets me more deals than any other tool or anything else is reputation. Hands down, doing good business with good people is what makes all of the difference in the world. And I'll even tell you guys, it blows my mind today, like that this actually happened. But so Mississippi, I don't know how they do the taxes in Texas, but in Mississippi, taxes for 2018 were due January of 2019. By August of 2019, they go to tax sale. Whoever gets the tax sale, there's a lien placed on the property. Then in 24 months, if those aren't redeemed, they mature to whoever bought them at the tax sale. Okay, so in August, there's a lot of people that if they tripped on the way to the courthouse, they're going to lose it. They're going to lose their house. And this lady that I was talking to was one of those folks. She inherited a free and clear house, $115,000 house. Didn't owe anything on it. There was no liens, no nothing. She's 2 years behind on her taxes. She's about to lose it. I call her a week ahead of time and I said, hey, if you can't catch this up, let me know, because we've talked before. I know you said you want to sell it, just not yet, but let me know. So anyway, fast forward no, I got it. It's not going to be an issue. I got the money. Well, about a week, 2 weeks later, I call her. So this is a week after the deadline. I'm sorry, 2 weeks after the deadline. This was 2 weeks after her deadline to pay her taxes. She wrote him a hot check. They gave her, and I called, it was just one of those things. I was going through my list and I said, I need to call and make sure she did this. Call her on a Thursday. She picks up the phone. She said, oh my gosh, I'm so glad you called. I lost your number and my check bounced for my taxes. They said, if it's not 100% paid in full with cash, money order, cashier's check or whatever, that is not a check from me. then tomorrow at 5 o'clock, I lose my property. So we went in and and just bear with me here. Do we have enough time I can ramble for a second?
Yes.
Okay. So we go in and we buy this property from this lady at, I think it was like 2:40 the next day, right? So she's got 2 hours left. She loses her property. Now, here's another important point I want to make. What sells the house? What makes the deal? Is it the house or is it the seller? The seller. So it really doesn't matter what the house needs, right? That's pretty easy to figure out. The magic is finding out what the seller needs. And that's what most people just blow right past. Okay. So I asked her, I said, you know, I've never seen the inside of your house. I don't have enough time for termite inspections. I've got to do my own title search, and I don't like to trust myself that much, and not when I'm putting big money on the line. And I said, so really, I said, what are you expecting out of this if I can help you? Like, what do you really want? She said, well, I want 50,000. I said, I can't do it. I said, I've never seen the inside. I can't do it. And she goes, okay, well, I need enough money to get a place for the next 8 or 9 months. And I said, okay, now we're getting somewhere. Tell me what you need. Like, why? Everybody write this down. Why? Right? Tell me more. Why? So I finally get out of her, and this is 20 minutes in from when I'm first asking her. We finally get to the real root of what's at her number one priority. Her daughter graduates 8th grade in May. This is September. She doesn't want to move her daughter until she's at least out of the 8th grade. It really wasn't even that she needed money. But turns out she was also, because we kept asking, what else do you need? Why? She had a water leak. Cost her $1,700 on her water bill. She didn't have it. So they've been dipping water out of the pool to flush the toilet. And the AC's broke. It's September. Y'all know, y'all are from Texas. It gets hot, right? She's been without AC all summer with her daughter that's going to the 8th grade. So we went and paid her water bill. We gave her $5,000 in cash. And I let her stay there for $1 a month, which I never tried to collect, until the end of May, when her daughter was out of school. And then we gave her another check to move out. Got a great deal on the house, but I really solved her problem, right? Like, I really, truly solved her issues. I resolved her concerns. And that's what we're really trying to do. Now, because of that and how we took care of that deal, about 2 months later, we were down in the courthouse and somebody called down and they said, well, this is going on and this is going on. And it was probate and family drama, and it was already tax delinquent at 1 year. And they were trying to get the ladies in the courthouse to help. And I mean, they can't really do anything. And finally, the lady in the courthouse, I'm not going to say which one, but she goes, you know what? Hang on just a second. There's a gentleman that just walked through the door who might can help you. Hang on 1 second. And she looked at me and she goes, Adam, come see if you can help these people. On the courthouse phone, right? I cannot tell you how many deals we've gotten because of the reputation. And it's know somebody that knows somebody. That's one thing I learned from Dad. We were in an appointment, we're going through, and he starts asking who you know, who you related to, where you from originally, and he wants a mutual connection. And when he finds that mutual connection, most of the time when he gets to the one he wants, he's got a phone number and he'll call him on the spot and say, you'll never believe who I'm standing here with. Here, talk to so-and-so. We're thinking about doing business together. While I got you on the phone, would you recommend doing business with me? That's a killer right there. Ain't no amount of testimonials can beat anything like a call with somebody they know that says, oh man, you wouldn't want to do business with anybody else. All right, so who gets the book, Lee?
Edwin Rodriguez, he said honesty.
Honesty?
I think that is your reputation.
I like it. All right, Edwin, if you would send me your contact information, your mailing address, shoot it to me in an email. If you actually, you know what? Shoot it to me in a Facebook Messenger. Send me a friend request on Facebook and then send it to me in Messenger. I'm gonna send you a book out. It'll be Thursday when I get back to the office.
All right, sounds.
Go ahead.
So it sounds good.
Awesome, man. Hey, thanks. Good answer, by the way. It
Thank you.
goes a long way. It really does.
Yes, sir.
What's the book you're giving out?
So it's actually my, it's a book I co-authored a few months ago. But it's called Authority. And it's essentially, we took 15 authors and we all kind of told our story of what our definition of authority is and how you get it, how you obtain it. And for me, it was a lot because it's the first time I ever really kind of told my story of losing everything. For those of you that don't know, I grew up in this business, right? Like I was riding around with my dad and my brother looking at houses, punching in and formulas into the HP 12C back in the day, right? Late 80s, and running through all these numbers while we're looking at houses and looking at repair costs and then actually doing the physical work on them and all that. So, I mean, I grew up around all this stuff. About 7 years ago, got into a business I had no business being in and just got ahead of myself and I lost everything, everything, including every bit of my pride I had. But it all went away. And that's the book where that's the first time I ever really, really told the story. But it's a lot of just doing good business with good people is what really brought me out of this. I'll even give you a little spoiler alert. The only thing that got me out of the hole I was in mentally is, well, Lee gave me permission to ramble. So let me just tell you another story. I've been trying to get a hold of this guy. There's a foreclosure coming up and I'm still right. Like I'm still in a bad headspace, but you got to do something, right? You got to get up, you got to go. And so I go and I'm chasing this foreclosure down and I'd done a few house deals, again, like coming back out of losing everything. And this guy had equity, the house was in good shape, and just, I don't know, just had this feeling like, hey, stay on top of this one. Y'all ever get that feeling about a house? You're like, I need to just make sure this one stays at the top of the list. It was one of those. I said, all right, I'm gonna just stay on top of this one. Well, the house is getting foreclosed on Thursday at 11 a.m. On Tuesday, I went by his house again, knocked on the door. I've called him, I've texted him, I've sent him multiple pieces of mail weeks before. Well, I get to looking and I'm like, it's kind of a funny lot line. So I look next door. Well, his parents own the house next door. So I went over, I talked to his mom. She was cooking dinner. We had a great time. I leave a note and I said, you know what? I'm going to go leave one over there for him too, just in case he gets off work late. 10 p.m. Tuesday night, I get a text message. Hey, Mr. Johnson, this is Keith. I'm over at Westlake Drive and I don't know if it's too late or not, but I would like to see if there's anything I can do. So we got on the phone the next morning. I mean, I had a team of people working on this thing. We were negotiating bankruptcies away. We were negotiating judgments away, HOA liens, negotiating this ex-wife who was still on the deed, working on the first mortgage and a second mortgage, and doing all this knowing that we've got like 36 hours to do it all. I didn't have time to think about anything. And when I say that, I mean, I didn't have any time to even think about myself, right? Like I didn't sleep. We were doing our own title search. We were typing up our own deeds. Like it was all hands on deck. Here we go. And then, oh, by the way, he had to make a 6.5 hour round trip to go get the deed notarized by his ex-wife. Because she lived 3 hours and something away. So we get done. It's 10 a.m. on Thursday. I pay the first mortgage off because it's at a local bank. Pay the first mortgage off. I call. This is another one where reputation comes in. I called the attorney that was handling the sale. And the lady answered. I said, "Hey, this is Adam." She goes, "Hey, hon, how you doing?" I said, "Good." I said, "You know the one you had today on Westlake?" She goes, "Yep, they're getting ready to do it at 11." I said, "Well, I don't know how fast the bank is going to call you, but I just paid it off and I'm happy to send you a copy of the receipt." And she goes, "Nope, if you said you paid it off, that's good enough for me. I'll cancel the sale." So she cancels it. We walk out to the parking lot. The seller, who's been in a whirlwind this whole time, starts crying, gives me a hug, gives my investor a hug, and says, "Hey, I don't know where you came from, but I'm glad you showed up." And so like he pulls off, he's going to work. And for this guy, you got to think, we got him out of all of, like, look at what all he was facing, right? Foreclosure, still dealing with his ex-wife, second mortgage, bankruptcy. We got it totally finished. I always get discharged and dismissed mixed up, but totally squared away. So no creditors could come back on him. And we got him 3 weeks in the house, told him I'd give him $1,000 when he moved out. And he didn't tell me till after he was moving out, like when he was moving out and giving me the keys, that because of all this, he decided to take a promotion at work and he was going to be moving, I think, to Texas actually. But it was a whirlwind of just every ounce of energy and mental strength you had to just get this deal done for this guy. And 10:45, right? Like Keith leaves, I'm talking to my investor in his car, and he's talking to me. He's like, "Man, I've never bought a house for 50 cents on the dollar," and I had the person hug me. And I said, "Man, it's not about the money," right? Like when the value is there, the money's not a thing. If you write anything down tonight, that's a good one. When the value you provide is enough, the money isn't that important. Right? Because that's a big one that Pete says, right? Values are very subjective. So anyway, I get in my car and I'm exhausted at this point. I said, "You know what? I'm just going to go home. It's been a great day." And about halfway home, it hit me that like, I still got all these problems, right? Like I still got all this stuff that I got to do and catch up on, and people I've disappointed, and just myself I've disappointed, and then beating myself up. Y'all know that little downward spiral you get in sometimes. It just gets out of control. And then I caught myself and I said, "You know, what is it like, where did all those, if they just came back, where did they go to start with?" Right? Because I felt it all just rushing back in, and it hit me. I said, "You know what? I was so caught up in solving his problem that I didn't have time to worry about my own stuff." And that single moment changed everything in my life, I can assure you. And that's why when we say like, "Hey, be a helper," right? Like go in and talk to people, figure out what they need and try to get it for them. Right? Like really what they need. "Oh, you need to move and you need $30,000, right?" That's what everybody else finds out. Like find out why. And that's where you start that's where your real deals come from, is really getting to know somebody and solving their problem. We don't buy houses. Lee can tell you that. We buy problems that come with houses.
Adam, Sarah asked, if people are so much distressed, why do you think people drag their feet about getting in contact with you or wholesalers in general?
That is a great question. So how many of y'all, show of hands, and look, if the rest of y'all got clothes on, I love to see faces. So if y'all want to turn videos on, I may do some show of hand kind of stuff, but show of hands, how many of y'all have been through just a really tough or dark time in your life, right? Did you need help when you were going through it? Did you ask for it like you should have? Right? And you see how few, right? We've got a few sharp folks in here that actually did it. But that's the thing. When I went through my crash, I was so embarrassed and confused and just identity crisis that like you can't expect people, number one, you can't expect people to act rationally regardless. But you definitely can't expect people to act rationally in the most emotionally charged situation they may have ever experienced. Right. So a lot of times it's easy to just check out. And that's what happens a lot of times. I've had people that I looked them in the eyes and said, I can stop your foreclosure and stick 10 grand in your pocket. And they said, I just don't even want to fool with it anymore. That just happens sometimes. But that's a really good question. But here's the thing, and this is what I think gets a lot of like me and a lot of our students past a lot of the stuff that stops most people, right? Like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing all the way, or I don't feel confident enough, or I don't know what to say to people really, or you know, what if I make somebody mad, right? Let me help y'all out real quick. Y'all ever been afraid your offer was too low? Nobody? Good. Well, let me just tell you, if you're worried about offending people, I gave a guy a heart attack one time. True story. Too low, right? He made it, but that's a true story. So offending people, not that big a deal. Not that big a deal. But here's the thing, right? At the end of the day, those people a lot of times don't reach out, right? So I told you the story about Keith. You think there's any chance that he would have Googled and reached out to me unprovoked? Not a chance. It took everything. You know how I finally got him? He didn't even talk to his mom that night. I stuck the note underneath, halfway underneath his ashtray that I could tell he used every day outside. I didn't go inside his house, just for the record, it's the outside ashtray. But I just put it in halfway underneath there. I said, hey man, it's not too late. Give me a call. That's it. Here's my name and phone number. And he texted me. That's all I needed. And then we just started off. And it wasn't like, tell me how much you owe. Hey man, I appreciate you reaching out, right? Acknowledge that you know it's tough to reach out, right? That was my first thing with him. He said, hey, I know it's probably too late, but I'd love to talk to you and see if there's anything you can do. I said, first of all, man, thanks for reaching out. I know that took a lot. I've been through a tough time too. How many other people going and knocking on that door to go on an appointment said something like that? And if they did, which they didn't, how many of them actually meant it? Right? I was 100% sincere. I know what it's like to lose a house. I know what it's like to see my car drug away. I know what it's like to have to just, hey guys, I can't make that fun group dinner that everybody's been planning because I can't dine and dash. Right? Can't do it. So I'm gonna have to just scrounge up some quarters for some Taco Bell special. Right? I can honestly say, hey, I know all about that life. And acknowledging that with people is just, it's a different kind of ball game. But here's my point that I wanted to get to. If I hadn't gone after Keith and done everything within my power, his life would be totally different today and for the rest of it, right? Like really think about that. Think about somebody that showed up in your life when you just absolutely needed them the most. Now think about if they didn't. That's I mean, you wonder what gets me out of bed in the morning, why I don't care what people think. I don't worry about offending somebody. That's why somebody out there is waiting on me to show up. And I know I've experienced what kind of difference it can make in their life, because I've experienced what kind of difference it made in my life when I needed it. That's really what needs to get you going every single morning. And that's why you can't worry about like whether or not they will reach out to you, because you're going to find them. All right, sorry, I didn't mean to take us so deep there, but that's the truth of it.
Sarah, her next question is, it sounds like you have a pretty good team around you and contacts. Should a beginner first acquire the team before trying to solve these problems?
Also, these are good, really good questions. So to answer your question, no. I did not have, I had good connections, right? Like I had the people that I knew who to call. Now we have a team of people. But back then it was just, I mean, it was me. Like I just ran around, and sometimes me and dad would run some appointments, and sometimes me and an investor would run an appointment or whatever. Sometimes me and my realtor, sometimes I would just run it by myself. But you need to start building your network, right? You need to have your good title company. You need to have a good realtor that you can count on, but it's not necessary. The only thing you need to create a deal is somebody to create a deal with, where you're actually doing them a service by doing that deal with them. Like that's all you need. You don't have to have anything fancy. You're literally just going to find people, like find good people to talk to and have good talks with those people. That's it. You don't need all of that other stuff at all. You just got to go in and be a problem solver with a good attitude. Right. And look, I'm not going to say any names, but I have somebody that I've helped locally, friend of mine, but he started off, he would go on an appointment and they would ask him questions and he would answer a few. And then about third or fourth question, he would look at him and he'd say, you know what? I really don't know at all. I don't even know really what I'm doing here all the way. I just know that my buddy Adam sent me in here and that he's been doing this a long time and that he loves to help people buy, like he loves to help people buy houses. He loves to help people that want to sell houses. That's about all I know. I just know that I trust him and he does good business with people, and I've been wanting to do it with him for a long time. Sounds ridiculous, closes a lot of deals, right? Because it's just the truth. You don't have to have all the answers. You have to be genuine and you have to go in and solve a problem.
I guess I'm just afraid of going to these, houses, having a conversation with a person and wanting to solve their problems, but not really, especially with me being new, never having done this before, and not having those people to reach out to, sort of fix their problem or even give them a timeline. Especially like you've mentioned that there's been a lot of like crunch timelines where, I just want to avoid sounding like I want to help, but don't have the resources to help.
Well, and that's very good. And you always tell people honestly, hey, I might can solve your problem. I might have somebody I can call, right? Don't count on it just yet till I tell you to count on it. So being honest is number one. You can get through a lot of stuff, right? And think about the last time you guys had, this will be it. Well, I'd say this, COVID may have wiped a lot of memories for this stuff. It's been a while. How many of y'all have gone out to eat and there was a server who was training? Pretty much everybody. Do you not always remember that as a better experience than the rest of the time with all these other people that they've been doing it a while? I always have a better time when somebody's training because I want to see them do well, right? Like I want to help them. That's just, and that could just be me, but that's just always been my attitude. Like I love helping somebody get to the next step, helping somebody get better. How do I leave you better than I found you? And I think most people deep down kind of feel that way. Like most of the people we talk to, like they want to be helpful, right? People typically want to help people. Now it may not seem like it if you need help in New York City, right? Sometimes it may not seem like it at all, but people generally like to help people because it makes us feel good, right? Like new person versus experienced person waits on your table. You'll probably give the new person a little extra tip, right? Sellers are the same way. If they know that you're new, but you're honest, they want to see you do well just the same because they like you. They want to help you, right? And you're helping them. And then it's just, that's the whole thing. It's a mutually beneficial transaction. But just don't, like, you've got to go in. What area are you in? We're at in Texas.
Odessa.
Who else is in Odessa? We got some folks in Odessa. Y'all know what to do if a deal comes across? Anybody?
Odessa. No, I'm just new to the business.
All right. What about Marie? You know what to do if a deal comes in?
Not quite yet. Just I'm still kind of new myself. I haven't made my first deal yet. Just been on some appointments.
All right. Wade, did you say Odessa or no?
No, I'm in Midland. We're Midland. Most of us are Midland, Odessa. We're all generally about 20 minutes or so from each other.
Okay. All right. So let's make a connection. Do you want to, what makes you comfortable? Tell me that. Would you feel more comfortable making a connection with somebody that goes and kind of helps you? And they're probably going to want to cut of the deal. Or would you rather kind of go in, get a relationship and say, hey, let's figure this out together?
I guess figuring it
For
out.
me, I'm
together.
very much. No, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
We're going to flip a coin. Paper, scissors, rock, 2 out of 3.
Okay. I'll say for me, I'm very much open, to connection, to meet new people in the business. So we all grow together and, have each other's back.
I'll tell you, pipe in. I'm in Midland, so I won't go to even close my own deal in Odessa. It's too far. I don't want to waste my time. But I do know half a dozen people in Odessa that are experienced that if y'all text me and say, look, I'm going on an appointment or I'm trying to put a deal together, there's people over there working, 2 or 3 of them that I don't see in here tonight, but, I'm sure they'd be glad because I've offered to go help people put deals together because that to me is the most fun of everything I do in real estate is actually putting the deal together. I love doing that. It's just, it warms your heart when you do that and you're helping people and you got all these moving parts and it's just fun for me. So I would help anybody in Midland and there's people in Odessa that I'm sure that they would help you all. So if you're new and you got a deal, send some messages out. That Adam was talking about networking. Well, that's what the networking's all about is talking to each other and figuring out how you can put the deal together.
So I'm glad you jumped in. If you'll notice, guys, you may not think you know somebody, but I guarantee you know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody. But you got to put the word out there, right? Like you guys have a group, hey, who's experienced in Odessa that wants to partner up on a deal, right? It sounds like Lee just said he's got a half a dozen that would do it in a heartbeat. I don't know many people that won't. Heck, we did 3 contracts today and went on 4 appointments And we still went at 5:30 this evening. We went on one last appointment for a local guy who had found a for sale by owner, and just, he wanted us to come with him. Hey, come with me. Come check this out. Tell me what I need to be doing. We went in, had a great appointment. The lady said that, hey, somebody's already dropped off a contract. I'm just keeping my options open. And I said, well, tell me about the contract. Is it somebody that's going to live here? Is it an investor? Whatever. 5 minutes later, I said, well, look, we don't even need to talk about this house anymore. Sounds like you're on the right track. Call me if something derails. Other than that, where are you moving to? Right. And we just chit chatted for a while and it was great. But we went on that appointment and I'm happy to help him because for my own selfish reasons, it's beneficial to me if he does business the right way, and hopefully we don't screw it all up with more regulations because of bad business, right? So teaching him the right way to do it. And number two, collaboration over competition. We'll probably end up doing some deals together and I'll make money while I help him get started. I mean, for me, it's a win all the way around. There's a lot of people that feel that way. And I don't, like, a lot of times I think new people, like if you're thinking, well, why would somebody want to train their competition? If they're really thinking about this the right way, I mean, we started a local RIA. Well, before COVID, we had 60 to 70 people showing up every time. And all we did was teach them everything we do. But we made a whole lot more money and we helped a whole lot more people because we did it. Let me throw in one other option for you. There is a thing called reverse wholesaling, which may set I've never done it just because of how I got into the business to start with, right? It's very non-typical. But sometimes you might find a neighborhood where, hey, these are really hot neighborhood for buy and holds, right? Do you guys have Land Glide?
What is?
Oh, about to change everybody's life. So, Land Glide is this one. Where's my camera? Can you see this one on the bottom right there? And it's called Land, Land, Glide, Glide. It's spectacular. You can pull up in a driveway, open the app, hit the button to find you, and it'll tell you, it links to county records. Now, sometimes there's a delay, but it'll tell you who owns what and where and all this kind of stuff. So let's say you've got an area that, hey, this is a really hot rental area. You can go down Land Glide up and down the street and just find all the ones owned by LLCs. And then look them up on Secretary of State, pull up search their name on fastpeoplesearch.com and call them up and say, hey, this is Sarah, and I see you've got some rental property in the area. Are you looking to buy more? If so, what's your criteria? I may have some come available soon. And a lot of times the folks that really know what they're buying have a criteria and they're happy to tell you what it is. Now, all you got to do is find houses in that neighborhood that meet that criteria. And then you're essentially you're essentially becoming an order taker for those buyers, but sometimes it's a more comfortable way to get into the business. Hey, I've got 3 people that are looking for X. So I'm just going to go find X and carve out a few bucks for myself. That can be a really, really comfortable way if you're kind of freaked out by I'm not comfortable going in and really doing a whole bunch of this yet. Reverse wholesaling may be the ticket for you.
So when you had gone to these people's homes and solved, wanted to solve their problems, did you immediately have, I mean, I guess for me is when you reach out to a potential buyer of the contract, are these are these people willing to help the problems that the the person that's looking to sell the home as well, or are you solely the one, you know, I guess.
Well, the real answer is it depends on what the what solves the problem. So like the vast majority of the time, I'm going to try to solve their problem just because it's easier for my buyers to say yes that way. Now, however, I do deals all the time where I just call it terms of the sale, right? So like some of my terms of the sale or terms of our agreement is that I'm going to give them 3 weeks and I'm going to help them pick out, a new apartment, and I'm going to pay first and last month's rent and deposit when we find it together. And that it can be whatever. It could be that you have to run outside at 11:59 p.m. for the next 4 Saturdays and bark at the moon. Right? Like it's really like sky's the limit. Like Pete says, what box? There's no box to even think outside of. It's whatever gets it done. And so if some of those bleed over, so let's say that there's a deal where, hey, listen, they're going to need 3 weeks after closing to move out, right? Like obviously that's an obligation that my buyer has to be willing to accept. And then I make sure that they're protected. So like I'll explain to the seller, I'll say, hey, look, we can do that, but listen, I know that you wouldn't do this sort of thing, but can you believe I've had people that after we do this, they stay and then they tear up the house and stuff like that. It's the craziest things. I know you wouldn't do that, but my investor is a little gun shy. So we're going to have to take $5,000 and hold it back in escrow until you're out. And then I'll make the phone call myself and say, hey, your check's ready to go get it once you're out of the house. Right. So it's like some of that will bleed over. Now the investor, like they got to know, hey, we ain't rehabbing this on week 1. It's going to be week 4, maybe 5. And that's just part of it, but good communication on that takes care of all of it. But to answer your question directly, I try to handle as much as I can. So if I'm helping somebody move, we've picked people up from the bus station, took them to see their mom for an hour and a half, stopped at the ATM and bought them snacks and gave them cash, and then took them back to the bus station. Like you name it, we've probably done it at least one time.
Thank you. That answered my question.
Hey, great questions. You've had really great questions. Anybody else have any questions? I know, Lee, anything I haven't touched on? I know we've jumped around about a lot. I'm really bad about just telling stories.
I have another question really quick. Sorry.
No, you're good.
So just to backtrack, or I guess if you're trying to get into wholesaling, what are some of the beginning things that you need to do? Is it an LLC that you would have to acquire to do that before you hit the ground, or what are some of the first beginning legal steps you've got to take to start this business?
So in my opinion, and I'm sorry I have to do that.
Not his legal opinion, just his opinion. So make sure that it's not professional advice.
Yeah, I'm not an attorney. I've seen people do it a lot both ways, but I can tell you, I've seen more people get started because they focused on the deal and the seller making the deal, than they have starting an LLC that's not doing deals. I have done plenty of deals outside of LLCs, as wholesale deals. Because really the only benefit in my opinion is the tax benefit when you're just selling a piece of paper, right? Like my thought has always been that your liability or your exposure is pretty thin as long as you're doing good business with good people. When you start double closing or actually taking properties down yourself, having them in your personal name is much different. But I think there's been a lot of people do wholesale deals without having LLCs set up just yet. And most of what I hear, the feedback I'm getting, it's a lot easier to pay for the LLC setup the correct way once you've done a deal or two.
Thank you.
Any other questions? I must be just such a good teacher that we just got all the boxes checked.
I enjoyed this meeting because you were interactive. You just covered all the grounds. It was step by step, and so I really appreciate this and this one. I really enjoyed this meeting.
Thank you. Look, I'm glad you guys let me come on here and jabber for a little while with you. I enjoy this stuff. Anybody, I mean, any questions, any confusion, anything I said that you were like, I don't agree with that at all?
No, I think it was good. It's great information. So,
how many of you feel like you have an idea of what you want to do marketing wise going forward? I'm going to encourage everybody who didn't raise their hand to make sure you're doing at least 25 driving for dollars leads a week. That should be pretty much a staple in anybody's prospecting diet, so to speak. Oh, tax delinquent people. So mine I get from the courthouse. There's a lot of programs out there that can pull some of that information. I've always been a fan of going direct to the source, which is the courthouse. And I don't know all of how the taxes work in Texas. I know that you guys do tax sales. When it's sales, it's like a foreclosure. Outside of that, I'm not sure. I know that they're going to be required to publish them at some point. Lee, you probably know a lot better than I do on the tax delinquent side.
I just know that they meet on the courthouse step and sell it there. I've never actually gone to it. So I have other investors that have, but I've never gone.
What county is that?
Midland County and Ector County. Ector is Odessa.
Midland County, Texas. Tax delinquent property.
I do know that the tax sale is in December once a year. Other than that, I couldn't tell you anything.
Are you sure it's not like the first Monday every month or?
Yeah.
No, those are the foreclosure sales. The foreclosure sales are the first Tuesday of every month, at least in Ector County. The tax sales are once a year in December.
Okay.
There should be, I'm trying to thumb through some of y'all's stuff. There should be and you may just have to call the tax collector's office or the tax assessor's office and ask them for that. Like, how do I access that list? I would imagine it's probably online, or it is available online whenever they publish it out. But they'll have to provide some kind of public notice before they can actually go through with a sale, whether it be tax delinquent sale or a foreclosure sale. They've got to publish that somewhere and make it public. No other questions? You guys have been fantastic. This has been a lot of fun. Hopefully, hopefully I didn't ramble too much, tell too many stories.
Edwin, if you have any trouble getting your address to Adam, just text me your address and everything. I can get it to Adam.
I got it. It actually already came through.
Oh, good. Good.
Yeah, I'll get it. It'll probably be Thursday, but I'll get it out. Yes, I am on LinkedIn. Just be patient with me because again, I'm not a techie person. I can tell you, let's see if this will show up. Yeah, I don't know if y'all can see all the notifications on here, but my phone is riddled with them. I got 76 unread emails, 94 unread text messages, and thanks to a good cleanup job today, only 10 unchecked voicemails, which is about par for the course, I think. But I will, I do try to do my best to get back with everybody. But yeah, on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, still rocking the AOL email address. I'm hanging in there strong. I've about decided that I think that there's a computer plugged in somewhere waiting on me to close my account so they can go home. I got to be one of the last ones.
Did you put out your email this at the beginning of this? I got in a little bit late.
Oh, yes, sir. I'll give it to y'all again. It's Adam J, ADAMJ 1600 at AOL.com. And then Instagram is Big Sip Real Estate and
Big Cent.
SIP, SIP for Mississippi. And then what's the other one? Facebook, Adam Justin Johnson. And then LinkedIn, I don't even remember.
Where out of Mississippi you from?
Hattiesburg.
Now, how much I'm untech, when you were telling Edwin how to send the stuff, I had no idea even what you were talking about.
I've been trying to learn, but man, it's tough. I'm not a tech guy for sure. But hey, thank goodness the Jack Millers and the Jimmy Napiers and the John Shops taught us how to do it right. No, this has really been a lot of fun. Any other questions for me? Anything you wanted me to cover, Lee, that I haven't?
No, I appreciate all you did. That was great. You gave some examples of how you talk to people. And I've heard him talk on these podcasts. What he said tonight is exactly how he approaches people.
What's your podcast or YouTube?
That is true. I think that's actually something I think most of our students are surprised by when they come in for ride-alongs. Because we have we have folks in today, yesterday, we had some folks in last week. And I think that it does surprise a lot of people that like everything you hear us say is exactly what we do in the living room.
Brian, you were going to say something?
I was just asking if you got a YouTube or anything like that.
Yeah, you can check out, we have Wholesale Hackers on YouTube and Real Estate Roundup on Facebook, Facebook group. And let's see. Yeah, it's got a lot of stuff on both of them.
Wholesale Hackers, Ed?
What's that?
Wholesale Hackers?
Yeah, Wholesale Hackers. Let me type it in.
That's the one I listen to all the time. It's really good.
Okay. Is that on Spotify or like iHeart or anything like that?
I couldn't tell you. We had a guy that's posting a lot of stuff. I think he said we have a Spotify.
Not a problem. I'll look it up.
I know that's awful, but I have no idea.
Oh, it ain't no thing. Don't even sweat it, man.
I just smile for the camera and try to make sure I keep buying houses. Yes, we do deal with multifamilies. Actually, one of the contracts we got today was on a triplex, not far from my office, actually.
Do you draw the contracts up yourself, or like, do you have somebody that draws the contracts up, or what did you do in the very beginning?
That's a really great question. And I meant to say that. So if you go to the real estate roundup, do the little request to get approved. When you get in, if you go look in the files section, there is a copy of the contract that I use, which I mean, I've updated a little bit since then, but you'll get the gist of it. You can see the contract that I use. You can download it as PDF. What I recommend is retyping it word for word and put your information in. And then if you go to Wholesale Hackers on YouTube, go down to the live Q&A episode 10, and there's part 1 and part 2. And I just go through everything in my contract about what I do and why I do it in my own non-legal opinion. And then when you get done with all that, it's always good to have somebody double check it, like an attorney from Texas in this case. But it'll really, I think it'll give you a really good idea of what you need to know about contracts. Hey, thank you. You had some great questions, really great questions.
Well, thank you very much, Adam, for doing this. We all really appreciate it.
Hey, text me your address if you don't mind.
Okay.
And thank you very much. Anything I can do for you guys, hit me up, let me know. Be patient with me. It takes me a little time to get through all of that, but all of my notifications sometimes. But yeah, if I can ever help, please let me know. And Lee, thank you very much. Next time excuse me, next time I'm down that way, I'll let you know, maybe we can grab lunch or something.
Well, I just drove through Mississippi, I think Sunday. I flew to Virginia. My boy's been in the Navy for 6 years, flew up there, got a U-Haul, and we drove back and got in yesterday afternoon. It was a long drive, but.
Which part of Mississippi did you go through?
We were on 20.
Down through Jackson?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, not too far from me. Yeah, you went through Meridian, Jackson, Vicksburg. Yep.
Yep. Thought about you when I was driving through.
Well, I can say if you were driving a U-Haul that far, you weren't ready to stop for long periods of time.
No. It was a rough trip. Your book, is it in Audible?
Not yet. That one should be coming out on Audible soon. And then I'm bad about this, but I do have another one coming out, the real estate book. It'll be the Real Estate Investor Playbook. And it's where I essentially just go through, it's our mentorship program and a Cliff's Notes version is what it is. And then I brought in a bunch of folks like Steve Train to talk about sales. I've got Adrian talking about online marketing. One of my early on students wrote a whole chapter about how he did zero cost marketing, where he just worked the people that he knew. Like he took a list of all the people he knew in his area and started talking about what he was doing. And that's all he did. And so, and then Trevor from Carrot, he wrote the foreword. So it should be out probably, what is this, March? Should be end of May, probably. That one should be coming out. But I want to get it just right.
Very good. Well, we'll let you go because I know it's getting late. And are you on the Eastern time?
Central.
Central, okay. So you're on our time. Okay.
Yeah.
Any last questions, people? I think you covered it.
All right. Well, if you guys need anything, let me know. And I appreciate you letting me come on here and just talk with you guys a little bit. I really enjoyed it.
Appreciate it.
Thank you guys. Thanks, Lee.
Thank you. Bye-bye.